My name is Allie. I'm here at Uplift Recovery, and I'm from Oklahoma. My childhood was actually not too bad. I remember going out in pastures and getting lost at 5 years old, and I didn't let my family know because they are country people and they didn't think anything bad to happen out in the country. So I was over here getting chased by bulls and ducking and diving underneath the barbed wire fence. But after that, I remember my grandparents really well. My mom and I were pretty tight, but we just kind of split apart a little bit when she got with my stepdad. He was just kind of an abusive, abrasive person. So when he finally got out of our lives, it was just me and her and my little brother and sister, who are 10 years or 12 years younger than me. And we went on with our lives. And he stayed in Kansas. And while we went and did that, it was nice, but my mom was really tired. My brother was really, really sick, and he has special needs. So it kind of became like a duo between me and my mom. And she was so, just overly stressed that I got the bright end of that, I think, a lot. And it wasn't intentional. It's just I got the bright end of her stress a lot. And I'm also the first child, so I got to be a test subject for everything. And so at 18, I met who would be my future husband. And I moved out because I told my mom either I want to do what I want to do with my childhood the last couple months before I graduate, or I'm going to peace out. So I peaced out. He made me drop out of school 6 months before I graduated. I ended up getting my GED. What led me into addiction, though, was really right after 18, I ended up getting pregnant. And about 3 months in, we went all the way to Missouri to go to my favorite restaurant. And I ended up laying down because I was feeling nauseous. And we got in a back wreck, and I snapped my femur. And the car was so traumatic that even after being underneath the car for 2.5 hours, all the medics, the fire department, the police, all ended up leaving besides 2 people. And it was because there was a tornado half a mile away. So they ended up having to, unfortunately, to get me out, they had to stuff my broken bone up beside me and twist me and to get me out. And I remember an old man, when they're actually pulling me to the ambulance, I remember an old man grabbing my leg and telling me it's all right, it's cool, because I was screaming, it hurt so bad. And after that, everything was so calm. And I stayed in the hospital for the next month. It was I wasn't used to, I went from childhood to being forced into adulthood, and on the beginning stages of my adulthood, you're sitting there in a hospital by yourself, and it's scary, and it's just, they didn't know if you're going to walk. They had a metal rod in my leg, but the nerve damage was so severe that they didn't know if I was going to be able to walk again. And I actually ended up going to my grandparents in Illinois, and my grandpa, who had a bad wreck, he taught me how to walk again pretty much. He gave me his tidbits about what helps him. Mm. And I ended up using the stairs at their house to feel what it's like to walk again. So now I could walk again.
I can tell he was important in your life.
He was.
I can see it in your face.
He's an incredible man. I don't think I could do anything necessarily wrong in his eyes. He could be disappointed, and he could be very sad with my decisions. But my grandparents are incredible people. I've missed my granny a lot. I haven't missed her in years. But my grandparents are just incredible still. And so from there, I started having my babies. But even my ex-in-laws one time had to send my father-in-law to my house to make sure that my husband had not killed me and stuffed me into the closet because I had disappeared for 3 days. They ended up going and checking to make sure I wasn't dead in the closet. I wasn't, because actually at that same minute that my father-in-law was going to make sure that I wasn't dead because of how abusive he was, my husband, I was actually on my way to their house. And after years and years of doing that, I just got sober for a little while because I found out I'd never been around meth. I'd never been around any kind of serious drugs. And Mom did a great job of filtering out my life from that. But I was so bound and determined that I know everything, that I put myself around people, situations that I definitely shouldn't have. And so my ex told me that when he would beat the crap out of me and do these horrible things, that it was because he was on meth. And he'd be so sweet the very first day. And then it would be 3 or 4 days of pure fucking torture. I'm surprised I'm alive. Like the day that I left my ex-husband is the same day that the terrible guy, Chris Watts, killed his whole family. And that was the day that I made that decision of I'm not going back. And I was actually pregnant with a third child, and he ended up beating me so bad that I ended up losing it and having to bury that on my own. That set me into drinking because I was sober.
So you were pregnant?
I was very pregnant. I was 29 weeks pregnant, and
What happened?
he beat the crap out of me so bad that I ended up losing it to the point where there was no heartbeat after a week, and I went into labor. And I had just left my husband, so I didn't want, my family was already getting torn apart. I didn't want my husband to be charged with murder. So I tried to keep it just to myself and try to deal with all that. And so I did. And I don't think that really did anything for my family. I want to actually just say that was one of my mistakes. Like, he gets the repercussions of what he has done. Like, he should get the repercussions of what he did, because I ended up keeping that to myself and not telling nobody about it. It really, really traumatized me. I didn't understand it. He was sorry, but he didn't really care. He wasn't going pregnant. He also wasn't caring about his family at the time. He was out there doing drugs. And the only time he would be around was if he wanted to be abrasive. He never actually cared about the kids at that time either when he was high. So, I mean, that it is what it is. And so I started drinking really heavily. It became a high functioning alcoholic. I don't even think my family knew that I was drinking, a liter of Jameson a day. I would go to bed cradling it. So it went on from there. I then started, after my car wreck, I had also dabbled in opiate addiction for a while. It was the day that my daughter was newborn, and I couldn't get up. My body felt like it was breaking. I couldn't get up to get that my newborn daughter from her car seat or whatever. And so that wiped that out completely, but then the drinking kind of brought in the opiates again, and I couldn't get a control off of it. So then went from opiates to not coke, but opiates and alcohol to cocaine. Got over the cocaine again, but then I went back to alcohol, and I remember telling everybody that I knew I was drinking. As soon as I was done getting over past whatever I needed to get past, that I would quit drinking. And so I remember that day. I remember the day that I processed it. I got through it,